What I did, I'm not a real tech guy, but I did work on last week and this week I kind of put together just a little bit of a presentation. So I'm going to try to share my screen here and just talk a bit about myself, our football program, things like that. Bear with me.
While he's doing that, let's remind you guys, if you have questions, throw them up in the chat. We can get to them along the way, or we certainly can come on at the end and people can put on their cameras and mics. And we can just ask Coach questions at the end too. So, Coach, you can take it away. It's all yours, man.
Okay, well, let me know if you can't see anything. Just got a little PowerPoint here I'm going to start with. A little bit of a background. I've just listened to some of you guys talk. Background about our school here. We're located in north central Kansas. We're comprised of two towns, Clifton and Clyde. The population of the town of Clifton is 557 and Clyde is 652, so relatively pretty small towns. The two towns actually consolidated back in 1981. Our school size currently is the smallest school size. We are a Class 1A, which means our population ranges between 108 and 114 students. As far as our football classification, we are Division I. There are two divisions, Division II being the smaller, and that's based on your bottom three grades. We fall in that 98 to 66 range, which classifies us as Division I, one of the bigger schools. We actually made the transition in 2004. Our current record right now is 118 and 45 since we've made that transition. A little bit about myself. I was born in Montrose, Scotland. My dad was in the military. Met my mom from England. I have a brother and a sister. My sister was also born overseas with myself. My brother was born back here in Kansas when they moved back. I'm married to my wife. She graduated from Clifton Clyde High School. I have three kids, a son named Drake, who's 18, a daughter, Ella, that's 17, and another daughter that's 14, Lily. I also graduated from this school in 1993, and then I went on to Kansas State University and graduated in 98. And then I was fortunate. I thought I was going to end up in Kansas City, but ran into one of my, I guess it was the administrator at that time back here at Clifton Clyde at a job fair, and they set up an interview for me to come back. So I got hired on as a first grade teacher. I'm an elementary ed major, and I taught first grade here for 20 years. I became the head football coach back in 2001. I've coached middle school track for 15 years, high school track for the last 3. I've done our summer weights and powerlifting program for the last 20 years. And then this actually is my first year. I transitioned over to the high school, and I'm now the 9-12 PE strength and conditioning coach. So after 20 years of first graders, it was kind of a welcome change. I was looking for something different, and the opportunity arose. And this first year, besides this whole pandemic we're going through, has been going pretty well for us. A little bit about our power run game and kind of the development of it. My only offensive background and knowledge was mainly from 11-man football. I never played 11-man football. And here at Clifton Clyde, we were known back when Coach Buller coached here for single wing. So that's really the only offensive background that I grew up playing was the old single wing. My first 3 years as a head coach here, we were still 11-man, and I tried to implement the power I, trying to, I guess, put my own stamp on something, get out from Coach Buller's single wing days. And I will say those first 3 years was not very successful. As I was telling you guys before, when our last year of 11-man football, we finished with about 17, 18 guys. We're trying to play 8-man football. So we made that transition to 8-man football, and it seemed like our numbers kind of started to come back, and then they started to really jump up year 2, year 3. When we made that transition to 8-man football, I did kind of like what Jonathan did. I reached out to some 8-man coaches here in Kansas that had some success. I got some film from them because I'd never even watched an 8-man game. It's still football, but there are some little things that are different from 11-man to 8-man. When we started talking about what we wanted to do offensively, I wanted to kind of do something that was a little bit unique, still kind of had that single wing feel to it, but was a little bit more physical. And that's when we kind of came up with our power concept that we run. Over the years, we've had to adapt and change and evolve really based on what types of kids that we have, which is something I think all, especially here in Kansas, small schools have to do. And I'm going to show you kind of our formations we started out with, and they've changed. We don't run just the power, and that's why I told Jonathan we do mix in The last probably 2 to 3 years, we've done a little bit more spread, but really our power is kind of still our bread and butter, what we like to go to. The biggest thing, I guess, with our power concept is our kids really buy into it, and they really believe that it can be successful, because really the ultimate thing is we always tell those kids, we're basically not going to block that one defender that's farthest away from where we're going to attack. So if we can get everybody singled up, we don't have to burn a lot of people on double teams. That if that one guy we don't block clear on the opposite side of the field is the one that has to make the tackle, that's what we're wanting. And, at that point we're picking up, good yards, moving the chain. So that's kind of what the kids, they understand that if they do their job, we're going to move the chains and pick up yards on that. So, back when we first started, this is really what we lined up in, and this is what we called our power formation. And it, back in 04 when we started, we were big. We had huge guys, 260s to 270s across the front. And really, in essence, what it is, and we never really have had a typical, this year's probably my most typical quarterback style guy. But what we have in the backfield are what we call our 1-back, our 2-back, and our 3-back. The 2-back is typically basically what you'd call your quarterback. He's the guy that's going to throw the ball most of the time if we have to throw it, things like that. But as I say, back in 04, our front 5 here, we were huge. We had at our 1-back and our 3-back spot, we had a 220 and a 240-pound guy there. And then we had about 340 to 150 little scat backs that we just kept rolling in there. So it was really bringing 7 linemen to the point of attack and big guys. But as, those kids graduated, the next thing we started to go to was what we call our unbalanced power. We called that Leo and Rex. Leo was left strong and Rex was right strong. And basically the reason we did that was we're starting to get a little bit smaller kids. A lot of defenses, they have a stud at nose guard. And if we have a weaker center, this whole thing doesn't go. If you don't have a good center because you're direct snapping everything to the 2-back, you will snap some things to the 1 and the 3. But if you don't have a big, strong, intelligent center, a nose guard can wreak havoc on that. So that's when we started going to the unbalanced, trying to get that pressure off of the center from that nose guard. It also kind of gave us that strong side and that quick side that we could take advantage of there too. So that was kind of the next transition to the formation we went to. And then here recently, probably the last 2 to 3 years, we've kind of went to this open power, and that's where we start splitting or flexing an end out here. And the reason was there, we really didn't have that second true tight end guy. But we've had some burners that we can put out there at that split end. We've still kind of got our strong side. We still have our quick side. We've taken the pressure off of the center a little bit and put him kind of in that gap between our covered guard and our uncovered guard. This is what we've done, like I said, probably the last 2 to 3 years. And then here's just kind of some of the base plays and some of my favorite wrinkles. And then I can show you on the blackboard here. And then I've got a little highlight video that will show some of those plays. Our base plays, honestly, 23, 24, or our blast. The kids laugh, the coaches laugh and make fun of me. I mean, I've got a risk coach that the kids all have that we can call the plays at the line of scrimmage with probably 90 some plays in it, but I will run 24 and 23 until you can stop it. The one thing, we made state in 2007, and that's when we were running the unbalanced power, double tight, and all of the newspapers, were saying Clifton Clyde runs the most boring offense we've ever seen in our life because it looks exactly the same. Direct snap, then once in a while we'll mix in that short snap. Then there's a few other wrinkles we can do. But I've always told the kids, and the kids love that as well, is there's nothing more demoralizing as a defender when you line up against something that's exactly the same and you just can't stop it. And if we can get 4 yards every time, I'm totally happy with that. And the kids love that too. So really the 24 and the 23 and the 23 is just meaning one of our up backs is going to be kicking the end, and then we're going to run up inside him. If we call blast, now our tight ends are going to be kicking those defensive ends, and then we lead up through the hole with our 2 blocking backs. The 27 and the 28 choice is an RPO, a run pass option. 27 would just be our sweep left. 28 is our sweep right. And then the choice just means when I have that split end out there, a lot of times those corners will come off because they just see the run so much. So they start coming off of that split end, and then we just throw the ball over the top to that split end. And we've had some success with that as well. And then as far as our short snaps, 14 is going to be snapped to the 1 back through the 4 hole. 33 is the 3 back through the 3 hole. And then again, that's blocked exactly the same as our 24 and our 23. And then we can call blast, which is the same, block the same. The only thing is now our 2 back, since it is a short snap, our 2 back will always fake away. So that ball is just a short snap to the up backs. 2 back dives, kind of a fake away from that. And now you do lose one of your blockers, but typically that 2 back faking away usually pulls one of the linebackers, also a safety. Sometimes he can actually freeze both linebackers. So your numbers are still pretty good with that 1 lead back coming. As far as my wrinkles go, I tried to find some film on this. I found one good cross shuffle. Cross shuffle is just some motion where we motion one of those up backs across, and then we can run our sweep. He kind of slams the door on the defensive end. We run some sweeps. I did not find a really good picture or a video of our Maximus play, which is a motion pass out of that same set, but I can draw that up. I did find a smoke that I'll show you. It's probably one of my favorite pass plays out of it. And then end around, I've kind of got a series I'll show you. We had a huge game against Victoria this year. They were top 5. We were top 5 in Division I, so it was a big game for us. And we set up the end around really nice. We scored a touchdown on it. Then we scored a PAT on it. And then I'll show you the wrinkle we put to it that also scored another touchdown for it. And then our P0 throwback, I found a lot of film where we just overthrew the pass. But I'll draw that up and kind of show you that as well. So any questions on that before I go to the blackboard, guys?
Okay. We're good, Coach.
Okay. Let me see. Well, first off, can you guys see that blackboard very good, or does it need to be a little closer?
I think it looks good.
Okay. Well, up here, this first play, this is our open power left. So you can see we've got our split end open here. Again, it's against a 3-2 defense. I don't know what you guys typically see. We typically see 3-2 defenses. We will see some 3-3 against our power. We do once in a while see some 4-2 or some 4-1. But I just drew it up against a 3-2 monster. That's usually when the safety's rolled up there pretty tight, and that's what we typically see here. But as far as our 23 or 24, you can see our split end. Typically what we do is we'll stock block him or we'll just fly him all the time to pull that defender. And on the 23s and 24s, we're basically going to wall this down. So my tight end or my uncovered guard is going to go down on backer. My covered guard has got the
Oops, Coach, I don't know if you can hear me, but your screen's frozen up. All right, fellas, bear with us for a minute. Looks like he is out, so hopefully he can rejoin.
Sweeps, then those short snaps really come into play because then you get that misdirection, especially when they're keying on your 2 back. That end around, if you've got a good quick guy, you can run it. That end around is also a good one. And then those choice 27 or 28 choice, those are a good pass play, especially when that corner just starts getting hammered run at his face all the time, and then he just falls asleep on that wide receiver.
If you guys want to come on, you can turn your video on if you want. Turn your mics on. If you guys have some questions that you want to get to Coach. There's one here from Coach Arnold up at Mount Desert Island. What gives you guys the most fits defensively?
Well, I tell you what, probably defensively, what gets us is the best coach teams, they start to key on your power backs. And we've known that if you get a disciplined team and if they don't read your two back, they read your power backs, 9 times out of 10, those guys are going to lead you to the play. So we have had some plays, not very often, but we'll snap directly to the two back and we'll run him naked away from the two power backs. But really that probably is the thing that gives us the most fits. The other thing, back when it was legal for you to come up as a linebacker or a safety and start cutting those lead blockers, like that year we went to state, we played B&B and they were running a 3-3 defense. And their 3 linebackers at the snap of the ball, they just came downhill and they would just cut your power backs, your lead blocks, and just make a giant pile out of things, which really was tough. But now here in Kansas, we can't do that. So that's kind of helped us a little bit more to where they can't just come up and create piles like that.
Anybody got some other questions out there for Coach?
No, just to thank you, Coach. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't know if I helped you, but yeah, I appreciate you guys letting me come on here.
Very good.
Thank you.
Coach, your backside power back, has it ever been an issue where he if he's quick, gets in the way of the snap?
That's where you've just got to watch your alignment. If they start creeping, if we're going to run to the left and my 3-back knows that and he starts cheating over in his alignment too much, it hasn't been a huge issue, but we have had once in a while where it'll go off a shoulder pad or off of a helmet, yes. So you've just got to really, get ingrained in those guys' heads. Typically, that guard next to the center, you want to straddle his inside leg is where you want to line up. Now, like I said, if we do a short snap, you can't, if you're on defense, you really can't pick up on it. You saw it from that view I showed you. If it's a short snap to my 1 or my 3, they adjust a little bit. They'll creep over to get a little bit closer to that center so they can pick up that quick snap. But usually it's not enough that where a defense picks up something and says, oh, it's going to the up back, it's going to the up back. But yeah, there are little things that those power backs do with their lineup just to make sure they don't get hit by the ball or to put themselves in a better position where they can get the snap.
We don't have that problem with having really fast up backs getting in the way.
Well, that first year we ran this and we ran basically power. Like I said, my 2 up backs were basically linemen. We just had so many linemen. Those guys were 220 and 240, and they weren't real fast either. But, I mean, that's the thing about it. If you've got big guys, you've got 7 linemen on the field, and then you've just got that 1 running back. And if you've got a couple running backs, you can keep them fresh. Just keep running fresh guys back there. And we've had that, when we first started. And like I said, we've kind of evolved a little bit to where we went unbalanced, and then now we've kind of went to that open set just because we don't have as big guys like we used to, but we do have smaller, quicker, more athletic guys.
Anybody else out there? Anything for Coach?
Right from here, thanks.
All right.
Coach, thanks for joining us.
You bet. You guys have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, appreciate it, Coach. This was awesome, man. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Might try to get you back. We've got an 8-meeting roundtable coming up at the end of the month. Might try to get you in on that if you don't mind.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, man. I'll be in touch.
All right, take care.
Hey, Kevin Cooper, can you hang on for a minute before you close out of there? I got a couple of questions to ask you.